stop what you are doing. If you have a Steam account, this is not a drill. Right now, one of the most celebrated developers in the entire industry, Remedy Entertainment, has dropped the price of 3 of their most iconic games to a point that is, frankly, absurd. We are talking about discounts of up to 95%, making these award-winning titles cheaper than a cup of coffee. This isn't just a sale, it's a gateway into one of gaming's most unique and interconnected universes for literal pocket change. So why is this a big deal? Let's get everyone up to speed. We're talking about Remedy Entertainment. For over 2 decades, this Finnish studio, led by the creative mind of Sam Lake, has carved out a unique niche for itself. They don't just make games, they craft experiences. They are the masters of the third-person shooter, blending slick, satisfying combat with mind-bending, often bizarre narratives that stick with you long after the credits roll. They gave us the iconic bullet time of Max Payne, and in recent years, they've been meticulously building something much bigger, the Remedy Connected Universe, or the RCU. The 2 cornerstones of this universe are the games we're talking about today, the psychological horror classic Alan Wake and the sci-fi thriller Control. These aren't just standalone titles. They are intricately linked, with characters, events, and lore crossing over between them. This sale isn't just a random discount, it feels like a calculated move by Remedy to invite a massive wave of new players into their grand, weird, wonderful world, especially after the huge critical success of Alan Wake 2. Alright, let's break down the deals themselves because the numbers are staggering. And remember, these discounts are live now but expire on August 31st. 2025, so the clock is ticking. First up, we have Control Ultimate Edition. This is not the base game. This is the full package. It includes the phenomenal main story, both major story DLCs, the Foundation, and the critically important AWE expansion, plus all the post-launch updates. The usual price is $39.99. Right now, it's available for a mere $3.99. That's a 90% discount on a game that won over 80 awards and holds a solid 84 on OpenCritic. This is, without a doubt, its historical low price. Next, the game that started the Connected Universe madness, the original Alan Wake from 2010. If you've ever been curious about the writer who fights darkness with a flashlight, now is your chance. Its usual price is a modest $14.99, but with a colossal 95% discount, you can own this piece of gaming history for just 99 cents. 99 cents. It's almost free, and for less than $1, you can also grab its standalone spin-off, Alan Wake's American Nightmare. This 2012 title takes the core combat of the original and cranks it up with a more action-focused arcade-style approach. It's currently on sale for just 89 cents, a 90% discount. It's also worth a quick mention that Remedy's newer online co-op shooter set in the Control universe, FBC:"Firebreak, has a smaller 15% discount, bringing it to $33.99. Given its divisive reception, this might be the entry point for those who are on the fence, but the real story here is the incredible value of the single-player classics. Okay, so those are the facts, but let's dig deeper. What does this sale truly represent, and more importantly, which of these games should you actually buy? First, let's talk about Control. For $3.99, you are getting one of the best third-person action games of the last decade, period. Control is what happens when you take the gunplay Remedy perfected in Max Payne and inject it with supernatural superpowers. You play as Jesse Faden, the new director of the Federal Bureau of Control, a secret government agency that contains and studies paranormal phenomena. The game's main star, besides Jesse, is its setting, the oldest house. It's a place of impossible, brutalist architecture that is constantly shifting, a living, breathing labyrinth filled with secrets. The combat is a sublime dance of destruction. You have a single shape-shifting gun, the service weapon, and a suite of telekinetic abilities that lets you rip chunks of concrete from the walls and hurl them at enemies. It's a power fantasy that never gets old. But beyond the combat, it's a game for fans of lore and mystery. It draws heavy inspiration from the online collaborative fiction of the SCP Foundation, filled with redacted documents and weird objects of power. And the Ultimate Edition includes the AWE expansion, which is the first major, explicit crossover with Alan Wake, making it the perfect bridge between the two franchises. For anyone who enjoys fast-paced shooters and deep environmental storytelling, Control isn't just a recommendation at this price, it's practically mandatory. Now, let's pivot to Alan Wake. For 99 cents, you get a masterclass in psychological horror and atmosphere. If Control is a power fantasy, Alan Wake is a struggle for survival. You are a best-selling thriller writer suffering from writer's block who goes on vacation to the idyllic town of Bright Falls, which feels ripped straight out of Twin Peaks. When your wife disappears, you find yourself living out the plot of a horror novel you don't remember writing. The gameplay loop is unique and iconic. The fight with light mechanic. You use your flashlight to burn away the shield of darkness protecting your enemies, the Taken, before you can finish them off with conventional weapons. This creates a desperate, tense rhythm where resource management, your batteries, is just as important as your aim. This isn't a game for jump scares. It's about building a suffocating sense of dread. If you love the works of Stephen King or David Lynch, and you prefer a gripping, episodic narrative over nonstop action, then Alan Wake is arguably the best dollar you will ever spend on a video game. And American Nightmare, for 89 cents, think of it as a fun, non-essential side story. It's set up like an episode of The Twilight Zone, with a pulp, B-movie vibe. It's much more action-heavy, with more weapons and more enemies. It's a fun time, but it lacks the narrative depth and atmospheric horror of the original. At this price, it's a fantastic curiosity and a great way to experience a more combat-focused version of the Alan Wake formula. So, what's the big picture strategy for Remedy here? It's genius. Alan Wake 2 was a critical darling last year, but it's also a full-priced next-gen title. Many players might be interested but hesitant to jump in without knowing the backstory. This sale demolishes that barrier to entry. For less than $6, $3.99 for Control, 99 cents for Alan Wake, and 89 cents for American Nightmare, you can acquire the entire foundational saga of the RCU. This isn't just about making a few bucks on old games. This is a strategic investment in their player base. Remedy is betting that once you experience the quality and intrigue of these worlds, you'll be hooked. You'll play Alan Wake, then see the connections in Control's AWE expansion, and by the time you're done, the idea of buying Alan Wake 2 or their next RCU project won't be a question of if, but when. They are building an army of fans, and this sale is their recruitment drive. It's an incredibly smart, player-friendly move that builds massive goodwill and ensures the future of their ambitious, interconnected universe. This is one of the easiest recommendations I've ever had to make. For less than the price of a fast food meal, you get dozens of hours of top-tier single-player gaming. But I want to hear from you. For the veterans of the RCU, which of these 3 games is your personal favorite and why? And for the newcomers, which one are you picking up? First, based on these deals, let me know down in the comments. If you appreciate this kind of breakdown of gaming news and deals that respect your time and your wallet, a subscription to the channel would be amazing. We focus on the analysis, not just the headlines. Thanks for watching, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.